Hey everyone, my name is Liz Callum. I'm the Video Communications Manager of Association of Fitness Studios. If you don't know who we are the only trade association around that's essentially helping to build up the fitness studio industry, which is at a rapid growth rate right now. So we have with us all the way from Australia a wonderful young lady. So I'm going to turn it over to Chantal, and she's going to tell you how she got started in fitness. She's got a great journey. So welcome, Chantal.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's an absolute pleasure to be on your show. So thank you. It's always really interesting when the tables are turned. I'm used to being the interviewer, and today I get to be the interviewee. So thank you so much for having me on. And I'm incredibly lucky because I've been in the industry for a little while now. I actually left my corporate career, which was in media. I spent about 15 years there before I came into the fitness industry, and basically I started in the fitness industry being a personal trainer and doing a lot of group fitness. And after a couple of months of doing that, I decided that there must be a way that I could actually combine my corporate background with my love of fitness. And so after a fairly short period of time, I started business coaching, and not long after that we actually started the Fitness Business Podcast. So the show that I host, the Fitness Business Podcast, started in its infancy about 6 or 7 years ago. And when we first launched the show, it was actually just a monthly show with some Aussie guests. And I must admit, I don't think we ever kind of expected it would grow to the level that it has today. And so 2 years ago, we made the decision to go from a monthly show to a weekly show, and really started to ramp things up. And now I'm incredibly proud to say we're actually 105 episodes in. We have had 106,000 downloads of the show, which is amazing. And we have incredible support from the industry all across the globe, especially from all of our US listeners. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So yeah, we've had a lot of success and a lot of support from the amazing people in the industry. So now my full-time job is hosting the podcast.
And that's amazing. What a great journey and what you're doing. It's so cool to meet a fellow person that gets to interview people. Isn't it fun?
It's the best job in the world.
To hang out with people all
it
day
honestly is the best job in the world.
So tell me about, because you've done tons of interviews, who has been your favorite person that just was, that really just that you enjoyed interviewing, and why?
It's a really great question, Liz, and it's actually a really hard one for me to answer because A, there have been so many amazing guests that we've had on the show, and B, I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm actually going to go with our current guest, because I guess he's so top of mind, and his knowledge and his book that he's just released is so relevant to so many people within our industry, and that is Jeb Blunt. And you might be familiar with Jeb. He's actually an author of 8 books. Yeah, so if you're ever looking for information or content on sales, then please go out and check out his books. And so most recently he came on to talk to us about sales EQ, and specifically we spoke about how membership consultants within fitness businesses can actually use sales EQ within their roles. So to kind of delve into a little bit of that and to give you, I guess, some highlights from that particular interview and why I found it to be so relevant for our audience. Some of the things he spoke about, he said, was, to begin the relationship with a prospect, you have to begin with empathy. You need to begin with listening and with asking questions, which we know, but he talks about it being listening deeply, he describes it as listening deeply, and says that listening deeply is about listening or learning to listen with your eyes, with your ears, with your intuition, and with your heart. And he said that if you're paying attention to the prospect, if you're actually listening deeply, then what that allows you to do is shape your questions around the emotional cues that you receive from your prospect. And he basically said that great salespeople, great fitness consultants, do something that's actually called dual process, which means at one moment they're being empathetic, they're standing in the shoes of their the person that walked through their door, but at the other time, or at the same time, they're also being outcome oriented and working towards a particular result, which, as he explains, is a really difficult thing to do. So he said to us that essentially we're talking about someone who has the ability to be both empathetic and understand the reasons why the prospect is there, but at the same time have the emotional EQ to actually control the situation, to wrap their arms around that particular prospect and to help them make the right decision. So there was so much relevance in that conversation that I had with Jeb and in that book, Sales EQ, that he's just released. Liz, in that same interview, he went on to share some tips on developing self-awareness, which is a great one to listen out to. And he actually finished with 3 tips to be successful in business. And if you like, I can share those with you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
Totally.
So the 3 tips that he left us with was, he said, to be successful in business, you have to be a great marketer. He said, whatever it takes, you have to be doing a lot of marketing and you've always got to keep your name in front of people. Number 2 was that you have to be great in converting people when they walk through the door. So with all of the marketing that you can do and all the work that you do, when they walk through your door, you have got to pay attention to the emotional side of selling. He said, because if people are coming through your door, especially within our industry, within the fitness industry, it's because of a change in their life, and we know this. And he said, you know, the amazing thing about fitness is that it is totally an emotional sale. And if you can understand that, and if you can have that connection with your prospect, then you'll have conversion rates better than anyone else in the industry. And the third thing that he left us with is that you must keep the customers that you have. So retention. He said you have to make sure that you're always building relationships with your members and with your customers. He said the number one reason that you lose members is through neglect. You know, it's because you're not paying enough attention to them. They're not hearing from you. They're not getting the love that they need. So in order for us to keep our members, we've got to stay in front of them, and we've got to keep them engaged, and we've got to keep them focused. So hopefully that answers your question in regards to one of my favorite interviews that I've done on the show to date.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will probably help us learn a little bit more about your audience and who it kind of specifically is, I guess, kind of who you target, or maybe who listens more. But who do you think has been the favorite amongst the audiences? Maybe who got the most views or hits in terms of the podcast? And then from there, you know, what do you think were some really great takeaways from that person?
Really easy answer, Casey Conrad. So, and again, yeah, I just saw your face light up when I said her name.
We love her.
Yeah, just totally amazing. And we have been so lucky because Casey's come on the show not once, but twice. And she is phenomenal. And I think the popularity of her show has to do with several things. First of all, it's Casey Conrad. So hello, of course she's going to get a lot of downloads for her show. But I think obviously the topic around sales is something that is just so relevant to so many of us. So she joined us, first of all, to talk about the best ever advice on selling fitness and selling personal training. And she also talked to us about everything that you need to know about the journey of a fitness salesperson. So I was actually having this conversation yesterday with another one of our amazing guests, Luke Carlson, and who's the founder and CEO of Discover Strength in Minneapolis. And I think with Casey, she just has this incredible energy. She's able to adapt to any situation that she's in and has so much experience that the advice that she shares, every word that comes out of her mouth is valuable. And that's what I found in both of the interviews. And I think that's why they were our most popular shows. So Liz, if you're happy to, I just grabbed a couple of her key takeaways that I thought might be of interest to your audience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So some of the things that Casey said to us was a membership consultant for your club should of course be an outgoing person. They need to be a natural networker, and they need to be able to quickly establish rapport with absolutely anyone. She said that you should be asking for referrals and framing the customer mindset from the very beginning of the conversation. If you're not having the referral conversation on the tour, then you're missing a huge piece of the process. She said that if you can get your trainers to actually embrace this concept, and I love what she says here, she said that selling is nothing more than education plus motivation. If you can get them to embrace that concept, then you'll have a much easier time earning a customer's business. She also said, and I think this is an important, did you like that? Education plus motivation. It makes total sense, right? One of the other things, and this does come up a lot in the conversations that I have with some of our experts, and that is, where does role play, salesperson role play, actually fall these days? Is it something that we should be doing? Should we not be doing? Should we be practicing? And in Casey's opinion, she said that regardless of the experience of your sales team, your salespeople should continue to role play every single week in some way, shape, or form. So I thought that was really interesting. And the other thing that she left us with was, she said that when you have a salesperson that doesn't succeed or isn't succeeding in their role, she said always check back down the train. Have a look at what's happening with the management, because ultimately it may very well come back to a training issue. So some really great takeaways from Casey Conrad.
No, that's great. And it's, I think what's great about her message, amongst very other, successful ones that have been in the industry for a while, is it's been the same.
Yeah.
She is still exactly who she was when she started out. And we heard that when she's visited us, when I used to work at FFC, and when I've heard her at Club Industry, she has that really strong message that she's always stood by, and it works. So it's so cool. Like with all of our new trainers, it was, you got to make your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You got to make your Casey Conrad pitch, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a proven formula. And at the end of the day, and this is something really interesting, is that we're going to talk about this shortly, but we've got all of this technology that's coming into our markets. We've got ways to make processes more efficient. We've got apps at our fingertips. But at the end of the day, we're in a people-based business. And I think one of the reasons that all of Casey's lessons are still so relevant is because it is always going to come back to relationships. It's always going to come back to people. It's always going to come back to building rapport, no matter what technology you introduce into your workplace. So I think that's a large reason why her message and her teachings are still so incredibly relevant.
Absolutely. And so that kind of leads into our next question on, you like to ask all the people that you interview kind of, what are the apps, what are the rituals, different habits that they use, even just for their, it sounds like literally for their workouts and stuff. What do they use on a daily basis that helps kind of keep them going?
Yeah. So Liz, basically the reason I asked that question is because quite often we look at these business owners and we look at people who have been incredibly successful in their careers, who have achieved so much, who seem to be so busy, and you think to yourself, how on earth is it that they are able to stay on top of such a busy workload? How can they possibly keep so many different balls in the air, juggle so many different things at the one time, yet have this appearance of being totally in control? So they must have something that's going on in their life or in their working day that they do, that is a system or a ritual that just really keeps them on top of their workload. So it's one of the opening questions that we ask, and I wanted to share with you probably the two most common answers that I get to that question. The first thing that I hear for our successful leaders is that ongoing education and actually setting aside time in their day is one of the most common rituals of a successful leader. So everyone from our, Chuck Runyon to Luke Carlson to Bill McBride, all of them have this time that they set aside where they say, right, I'm going to read, I'm going to learn something, and it varies from 20 minutes a day to an hour a day, some more than others, but all of them talk about the importance of ongoing education and setting time aside to actually learn something new. So that's the top thing that I would say. The second thing, which you touched on briefly, that all of our top business leaders do is incorporate some type of movement, of exercise, or of meditation into their working day. So I had people like Todd Durkin spoke about this, again, Luke Carlson, Sue Zimmerman spoke about it, Sarah Robb O'Hagan spoke about it, and they all talk about just allocating a period of time within their day for some sort of movement. For some people it was going for a run, for some people it was lifting weights, for some people it was doing meditation. But I guess unsurprisingly in our industry, it was a non-negotiable for those people and part of their rituals that they did. So that was kind of the ritual side of things. Then there's the app side of things, and I also wanted to share this with you because I think it's interesting to hear about what other people are using when technology comes into play. I can hear all the Pilates stuff going on in your background. Are they starting a class mid-interview?
I started beach volleyball yesterday. I'm sorry. You're breaking up on that last one.
That's okay. That's okay. I was wondering if they were starting a Pilates class in the background there. I can hear.
Oh, can you hear?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny because I'm plugged in, so I'm like, I didn't think anybody could hear anything.
Oh yeah, you're coming across loud and clear. Someone's going to be playing beach volleyball later on this afternoon, I think.
Oh. Oh, jeez.
The joy of a live interview. Okay, so what I was saying, hopefully it's clear from...
oh, that's why it keeps going back and forth.
Is that cool? I'll wait till you can...
We're gonna do this.
Yep, you're right.
Take a little walk.
That's all right. While you do that, I'm going to check in with my Facebook and see what's happening over there. See who's on. Who have I got there? Angus. Hey, Angus. Hey, JP. Hey, Carly.
That's what we're going to do. This is what happens when you're live
This is a live
in
interview.
a real fitness studio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I work in a boutique studio, and so there's always people around, and I have to find rooms to sit in and do these. So
That's okay.
I'm going to take off my headphones, and now we are quiet again.
Oh, we are quiet again. That's perfect.
And we're gonna do this right here. So it's never a dull moment when you're doing an interview.
That's all right. I understand this lifestyle.
Right here, just let's not move around. That's so strange. I'm so sorry. No wonder you were getting so thrown off weird words. So
I was hearing a few conversations.
The interviews is literally we have a Pilates studio and it's got that exposed brick and it's really pretty. And it's a great setting, but I'm usually obviously by myself. But you know, it's in here. It's 6:30 at night, so there's tons of people in the studio right now. So
easy.
Now I'm in one of our massage rooms.
Okay.
Anyways,
it's
so
nice.
Let's get back to you. So I know you were starting to say a little bit more, and then I lost you.
Yeah. So I was going to start to tell you about some of the apps, the most common apps that we hear people recommend. Yeah, and I think what's interesting about this is that the most common apps that people recommend are generally organizational based apps. So top of the list I would say is Evernote. Evernote comes up all the time. People refer to using their Google Calendar as their lifeblood all the time. Slack is another one, and then Infusionsoft is another one. So I think it's funny that of all of the apps that are out there these days, the ones that are reoccurring as the most popular ones are generally organizational based, or things that can kind of keep you in line and keep you on track with your workload. Saying that, I wanted to share some of my right? And I certainly know as a group fitness instructor, it's something that I struggle with because you're meeting people all the time. And when you're a gym owner, a gym manager, a studio owner, you're constantly getting new people come in. So this really cool little app, which is a very simple little app called NameRick, basically allows you to type in the person's name that you've just met. So you do it straight away. It allows you to type in a brief description, like, for example, Sarah came in and did my Pilates class at 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning. She's got brown hair and she's just recently moved to the area, right? So you type in like a really quick little brief description about Sarah, and 24 hours later, I think it is, the app actually sends you a little reminder and goes, hey, 24 hours ago at this time you met Sarah. And it's amazing how much better you can actually remember people's names when you have been given that little reminder, and then you've always got them on a little bit of a list, so you can go back and cheat and check their names. So it's actually a really cool app. I just find it incredibly useful. So that's number one. The second app that I personally use all the time is Typorama. Now, Typorama is a really great, if you're doing your own creative within your studio and you wanted to put out a social media tile on Instagram or Facebook, and you just basically have some really great images that perhaps you've taken around the studio. You might have taken it with some of your members or some of your instructors or your PT staff. You can upload the photo and really easily put a logo up. So you put your company logo up there and type in, overlay some text over the top of it, and it's easy to download. It's super quick to use, and it has the option to adapt for all different platforms. So you can Instagram it, you can Facebook it, wherever you want. So that's my second one. And the third one that I use all the time, and this is actually online, and that's Canva. Have you heard about Canva? Okay. Oh, I love being able to share some new stuff with you, Liz. So again, Canva's another really great platform, similar to Typorama, but with a lot more, I guess, editing options available. So for someone who doesn't have a huge amount of creative experience, if you don't want to use like an Adobe Photoshop or something like that, but you do need to do your social media posts, or you need to do banners for your website or a new Facebook cover, Canva, which is Canva, is a really great online tool that you can, again, throw up some images, put your logo across the top, grab some templates that are pre-designed. It's just a really nice, easy tool to use and perfect for club owners or studio owners.
Very cool, very cool. So who do you think, and because gosh, the industry is changing so much every year, and you've been doing these podcasts for the past couple of years. Looking at the past 2 years, who do you think are some of the most influential people that you've spoken to?
Oh my God. I mean, there have been so many. And as I said right at the very beginning of the interview, we have been so blessed with the support that we've received from the industry. I mean, I'll throw a couple of names out there of just some of the amazing people we've had. We've had Bill McBride has been incredible and come on the show a couple of times for us in the past. Will Phillips has been on the show. Mark Miller's been on the show. Jim Worthington. We were lucky enough to have Rasmus Ingerslev on the show. Chuck Runyon. We have just had an amazing lineup of guests over the last couple of years, and it's what's been really interesting, Liz, is sort of hearing and observing what the most common themes are of a number of these incredible leaders. And if you're happy, I'll share that with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I hear, and we briefly touched on this earlier in regards to rituals that some of these people have, but one of the things that I hear all the time is just how important it is to have a mentor or to have a coach, or to be part of an association like yours. They talk about just having that support of people around them, surrounding yourself with people that lift you up, that complement your skill set. Many of them say how important it is to have people in your business that are better at you in areas of the business, that can help you with the areas that you're not so good at. They're the ones that are going to lift you up and help make you better. People that you really learn from. So I think that it's just... it's interesting to know that the people that lead our industry and that have such senior roles within our industry have gotten there because they've surrounded themselves with like-minded people that actually support them and lift them up.
That's so great, and that I love those takeaways, because I think one of the reasons that AFS exists is really to be is to help mentor people within the industry, and it just like you created that podcast because you wanted to get the word out and help others and create, more of a knowledge base for people, because the fitness studio side of things is still, it's crazy. I mean, you start looking at the amount of people that are running their own places and doing their own thing, and it's pretty awesome. When I interviewed Anthony Trucks, he mentioned how we don't have a clear-cut leader, right? It's not like Apple, where we have got Apple with technology, or you look at motivational stuff and you look at Tony Robbins. we're just all out there kind of doing our thing, which is really great. But, you know, I think that anybody that's in fitness, we want to continue to make the industry stronger and to help each other. So, you know, I think it's so great of what you're doing as well, because you're definitely part of what we're trying to do as well. So
yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, Liz. And I think one other thing that we need to keep in mind, and I'm hearing this more and more often, and you briefly touched on it then, and that is we need to learn from the people around us, and we need to learn from others that have been there before, like getting a coach or getting a mentor. But I think one thing as an industry, fitness is still such a young industry, you know, compared to so many others out there. And I think that more and more often we actually need to look outside. You know, we need to go to other industries and have a look at what they're doing, what technology they're using, how are they advancing in their businesses, what lessons can we learn from those people and bring back into the fitness industry. You know, we need to be very open to that. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why quite often I'll go out and interview authors who aren't necessarily fitness related, but are people that we can learn from and that we can grow from because they've been working in other areas of business outside of the fitness industry. So I think that's really important as well. We shouldn't be blinkered in our approach to learning. We need to think about outside the square.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was awesome, and I know that I learned something, so that's always a good thing. I always come away from these things feeling a little smarter, so it's always fun. So tell us a little more about where we can find you, and if you want to hear the podcast, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Liz. So basically, the Fitness Business Podcast is a weekly show. It comes out on iTunes every single Wednesday. As I said at the beginning, we are 105 shows in, and we're 106,000 downloads in. And our current guest this week is Jeb Blunt, and he's talking about sales EQ, which I touched on right at the beginning of this interview. The podcast is a free download. We are incredibly lucky to be supported by some amazing industry partners that allow us to produce the podcast and send it out every single week to our listeners. So it's available on iTunes. It's also available on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And on there, what you can do is you can jump on and have a look at any of the last 105 episodes. You can jump in and check out that Casey Conrad one that I spoke about, people like Mike McAllowitz that did amazing interview on Profit First, all of those leaders that I've spoken about during the show today. So you can just pop onto the website. So once again, it's fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. You can search by show or you can search by show name. And we would love to share the podcast love and share the learnings out there. So if you guys enjoy it, if you find that the information on the show is valuable, then we just ask that you know, pay it forward, share it with a friend, share it with someone that you think might be valuable, because at the end of the day, all of the guests that come onto our show are doing that in their own time. They don't get paid to do these interviews. They come on and they contribute the information so that all of us as an industry can be more successful, we can grow, we can learn from each other, and we can move forward as an industry. So Liz, I want to say thank you so much to you and to the Association of Fitness Studios for having me on your show today. It's been such a pleasure, and hopefully we can continue to share the information and grow as a business in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so once again, Liz Callum of Association of Fitness Studios. You can find us at afsfitness.com. We do these webcasts typically every Thursday at noon. We did this one a little different today so that Chantal didn't have to get up at 3 a.m. her time.
I appreciate that.
We'll be back regular time next week with Mike Ars of Loud Rumors. That should be real fun.
Awesome.
So
Mike's a legend.
For spending the time. And hopefully we'll be connected again soon. I'm going to check out some of those podcasts. Thank you so much, Chantal.
Please do. Thank you so much, Liz.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, we're off here. We did it. I'm
awesome.
So sorry. That's so weird. Wouldn't you think if you're plugged in that you can't? I didn't think that there'd be any sound.
Yeah, there was. At the beginning, there wasn't. Hang on, I'm just going to say goodbye to my Facebook Live. Hey, guys. Hey, Sean. Thanks for jumping on. I hope you guys enjoyed that behind the scenes.